size and comfort, or speed and performance.
And that seems to be the dilemma for many a modern day catamaran builder. But is it possible to have your cake and eat it? It's not lost on us that a couple buying a sailing boat without any experience and then starting a YouTube channel, to some maybe a bit of a cliche, to then think about upgrading to a catamaran, well, we realise that's about as cliche as we could possibly get right now. But it happened. Yep, we allowed that thought to very much enter our minds. So, the catamaran, a floating condominium on one hand, or a high performance but very small vessel on the other hand. It really was trying to tackle these questions along with a whole bunch of sailing channels that we still follow that sent us down quite the rabbit hole. What with some of the most popular catamarans out there having all kinds of bulkhead issues and cracking and delaminating, some models not being able to point to windward very well, whilst others do go fast and do point to wind, but comparably have very small space to actually, well, live on. And that's when it really hit me. The big question. Where exactly are all the British representatives trying to answer this very question? So really, that question, coupled with a chance encounter in Plymouth, led us to this.
Well, if that montage seems a little bit more rock and roll than usual, well, that's because the team and the company, well, they are too. And we were lucky enough to be invited behind the scenes to meet them all. So Darren is Dazcat.
Darren is Mr. Dazcat. Yeah. Makes sense, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like TBR.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing technical about it. It's Daz's cat.
What is the mission of Dazcat?
Our mission comes really from passion, the passion for sailing, but not only the passion for sailing, but the passion for building boats and building them well. You know, when we're out there, we want to be able to sail comfortably is one of the most important things, and with multi-hulls, pitch can be quite uncomfortable. So we're always challenging, sort of finding ways of pitch reduction. So either by adding lighter components in the mast, by making them out of carbon fibre, the spinnaker pole, the rudders, any components that are far away from the centre of the boat, we try and make as light as possible. Feel the weight of that, it's very,
Oh wow.
you know.
Oh wow. I wasn't ready for that.
And then we try to move all the heavy objects to the middle of the boat. So things like the engines, the fuel tanks, the systems, the food, the people, in fact, are all, you know, lined up in a nice little part of the saloon. So we've not got the seesaw effect. So if you imagine you move the weight out to the end of the boat, you'd end up with a seesaw, very uncomfortable. So you can find a boat that appears to look comfortable in a marina scenario because it has lots of space, but it has too much weight at the ends, it becomes a seesaw and the boat pitches, and so it's uncomfortable. So we actually like to improve that comfort while sailing. And I think that is really one of the most important things about the Dazcat. We have the 1295 Dazcat and the 1495 Dazcat, and we have some more custom orientated projects, whether it's smaller or larger than that. They are kind of fixed in their sort of sense of structure, but we work very much with the client to add the kind of finishes that they're going to feel comfortable with, whether they're long-term cruising on board or they're racing. We're not really leading towards the sort of 4 cabins, 4 toilets, and we're not designing it for a charter boat. Our racing really is meant to be there to prove our boats to the clients of how well they can perform and how safe they can be in hostile conditions.
Now, Dazcats are produced in a place called the Multi-Hull Centre down in Cornwall, where we got to have a really good look around, where the guys showed us some of the innovative ideas that they've been using to make the Dazcats just that little bit more special. But the Multi-Hull Centre doesn't just produce Dazcats. They actually build boats by other designers for clients, as well as upgrading and repairing older catamarans. And it was here that Simon talked to us about some of the scarier things that he's seen design fault wise with some older catamarans. Check it out.
Give it a full back position. You make the hulls in 2 pieces, and then join those together, create a wet deck, and then we drop the bulkheads in, and then we have a moulding which has the roof and the cockpit. That drops down on the top of it. Stick that all in because everything is structurally bonded. We had one boat many years ago with some bulkhead issues, and it came up 250 mil, so 10 inches of deflection. So that's, the boat is just doing this as it goes over the waves. It's just tearing itself apart, really. Carbon rudder there as well. And we've repeated that with a new all-carbon skeg, so the boat can actually dry out on this one.
Oh, okay.
But the shaft is carbon as well, and then the self-aligning bearings. So as basically the shaft bends, the self-aligning bearings will never bind.
Okay.
So steering is always beautiful, no matter how much load is on it. Because you've got, probably 12 tons on that at 12 degrees, 20 knots. That's significant rudder loadings. When you're pulling a dagger board up, you're bringing a central lateral resistance further aft, so that the whole boat tracks a lot better when you're running down the wave faces. You don't have that horrible sort of stalling moment when you tip off and where the bows wander. It's much more directional, especially on the 14 metre. You can just get it on the wave and nail it.
So as well as being given a fairly extensive tour of the yard, where we got to see a partially constructed Dazcat, the guys there very kindly offered to take us out in a completed model. Company director Simon's very own Hissyfit, where we were incredibly privileged to get an amazing in-depth sailing lesson from these absolute pros.
We're at the top end of the sail, briefing point now, so you will find this weather help.
Yeah, I can feel that, yeah.
And no, I didn't forget to ask the burning question that I know's etched on the front of all your minds.
Well, the fastest, there's been a couple of boats that have gone pretty quick. There was a boat called Dazcat, and we hit 25 knots going across to Ireland in some pretty rough water, going downwind. But then when we got up to Muckleflugger, we did a sort of sustained 23, 24 knots in absolutely flat water. I think who's got the record though will be Nigel on Apollo, who hit 28 knots on the Caribbean 600 race, which was kind of sailing on the raggedy edge for my liking. And for me, really, it's not about top speed, it's about averaging good speeds. If you can get a boat that can average good speeds and sail in light winds, then you can enjoy sailing when the weather is, blowing 10 knots and you're doing 10 knots of boat speed, or 15 knots and you're doing 15 knots of boat speed. But anything kind of above 20, you've got to be kind of thinking about slowing down, really.
It's clear to see from just being around the team at Dazcat that they've created something which they're all incredibly proud of. Yet building boats which go fast and perform under pressure is something they've been doing since day one. But in the world of high performance cruising catamarans, it's not just about being able to go fast, it's about being able to do so with enough space, comfort and safety to make the sailing experience as exciting or as relaxing as you want it to be.
So are we buying a Dazcat? No. In fact, are we buying a catamaran at all? No. I don't know how you guys do it. I mean, we're doing everything within our power to try and make these things happen, but it's beyond me. So well done to all of you that managed to pull it off. But even as sort of relative boat novices, in fact, as complete multi-hull novices, it's clear to see that the team, in fact, no, the family down at Dazcat really have made something very, very special indeed.
Does it suit me?
It suits you, yeah. It does.